You reach for your cat every single day, and every single day your cat makes a quiet decisions, lean in, or just get through it. Most owners never realize their cat is making that choice at all, because cats are experts at tolerating what they cannot control. They don't protest loudly, they don't always leave, they absorb whatever is uncomfortable and they wait. But over time, that quiet tolerance adds up. It makes your cat a little more tense when they see your hand coming, a little quicker to leave the room, a little harder to actually reach. The habits behind this almost always feel loving in the moment. That's what makes them so easy to miss. I'm going to walk you through 5 of them today, and at the very end, I'll show you one small thing that can quietly change everything. 1. The direction your hand moves matters more than you think. Most people never consider which way they stroke their cat. It doesn't feel like something that matters. Your hand lands somewhere on their back and moves in whatever direction feels natural, forward, backward, or back and forth, because more movement feels like more love. But for your cat, one of those directions feels completely right, and the other is quietly unsettling them with every single pass. Here's what's happening under your hand. A cat's fur grows in one consistent direction, head toward the tail, always. And attached to every hair follicle on their body is a tiny nerve ending calibrated specifically to detect the direction of touch. When you stroke with the fur, head to tail, those nerves fire in a smooth, expected sequence and the brain reads it as normal, safe, comfortable. When you stroke against it, tail to head, those same nerves fire in a reversed, chaotic pattern that their nervous system registers as wrong. Not painful, but off. Like someone's dragging their palm up the back of your arm, against every grain, over and over while you try to relax. The problem becomes worse with the back and forth stroke, which is probably the most common petting habit owners have. Every return motion drags directly against the fur direction and undoes whatever calm the forward stroke just created. Most cats sit through this because they've learned you're not a threat, but internally, they're spending the entire session anticipating the wrong direction pass. Over weeks and months, their body starts building an association. Hands on my back often feel off, and that quiet association is part of why some cats begin flinching before contact even happens. The fix asks nothing difficult from you. Always stroke from the head toward the tail, one smooth direction. When your hand reaches the end, lift it and return to the starting point rather than dragging it back. You'll notice the difference almost immediately. The subtle tension that runs through your cat during the backward pass simply stops happening. They settle into the contact instead of managing half of it. 2. Reaching over your cat's head is triggering something ancient. Here's something nearly every owner does without ever thinking about it. Your cat is sitting quietly on the sofa, and you walk over and lower your hand from above toward the top of their head. From where you're standing, you're approaching their face, the friendly part, the familiar part. It feels like a natural greeting. But from your cat's perspective, a very different event just happened, and their body responded to it before their brain had time to evaluate it. Cats are prey animals first. That truth doesn't disappear inside a safe home. It's wired into every sensory system they carry. In the wild, danger comes from above. Birds of prey, larger predators, anything that drops down from height. So when your hand descends from overhead, even inside a home your cat knows perfectly well, their threat detection system activates. Not violently, not enough to make them run, but enough to make the muscles under your hand tighten before you've even made contact. Enough to shift the first moment of every petting session from pleasure into something they're managing. Studies of feline stress responses have consistently found that cats show the least anxious behavior when initial contact comes from the side, at their own level, particularly around the cheek and chin area, zones that are dense with scent glands. When a cat presses their face sideways into your hand, they are actively choosing the contact. That response becomes much harder to draw out when the hand has already arrived from a direction their nervous system automatically flags as a potential threat. The adjustment is small. Instead of reaching over your cat's head, bring your hand in from the side or from below, keeping it at their face level as long as possible before touching. Let them watch it arrive. Give their threat detection system nothing worth reporting, and the entire session begins in actual calm, instead of managed tension you can't see but your cat is absolutely feeling. 3. Your cat has been asking you to stop. You just haven't been hearing it. Stay with me here, because this is the one that does the most quiet damage to trust over time. The petting is going well. Your cat is beside you, purring, eyes soft, body loose. You're both settled. Then something small changes. A tail begins a slow, deliberate sweep side to side. One ear rotates backward, just slightly. A ripple moves across the skin along their spine. And you keep going because they're still there, still purring. Nothing dramatic has happened, but those 3 signals, the tail movement, the ear rotation, the skin twitch, are not random, and they are not subtle to another cat. They are a specific escalation sequence that every cat in the world produces and immediately understands. The tail sweep is the first message. I'm reaching my limit. The ear rotation is the second. I mean it. The skin ripple is the third and final. This is the last warning before I do something physical. What follows when those signals are ignored is the bite or the scratch that owners always describe as coming out of nowhere. It was never out of nowhere. The cat sent 3 clear announcements and was politely ignored each time. Here's what matters beyond avoiding a scratch. Every time you push past those signals, your cat is learning something specific about your hands. They don't receive the message, and the next time you reach for them, they begin with slightly more defensive tension than the session before, because they've already calculated that communicating might not protect them. This is how cats who once loved long petting sessions slowly become cats that flinch at an approaching hand with no single dramatic event to explain it. I want to show you something at the end of this video. One small thing that reverses exactly this, that tells your cat your hands do understand. I'll get there. But for now, the rule is simple. Tail moves, your hand stops. That one change alone protects more trust than almost anything else. And if this is already shifting how you see things, hit that like button and subscribe. At Pawsychology, we go this deep into what your cat is actually telling you every single week. Don't miss the next one. 4. When your cat shows you their belly, they are not asking for a belly rub. If you've ever had your cat stretch out, roll onto their back, look up at you, and then immediately bite or wrap around your hand the moment you reached for their stomach, you already know how genuinely baffling this moment feels. They showed you the belly. That seemed like the invitation. You responded to what they showed you. And then everything went wrong at speed. Here's the disconnect. The belly is the most undefended part of any animal's body. Exposing it voluntarily requires a very specific kind of trust. When your cat rolls over and shows you their stomach, they are not sending a request for physical contact. They are making a statement. I feel safe enough in this moment to show you the part of me that has no protection. That is the whole message. The belly display is a declaration of ease, not an instruction. Dogs are the source of most of this confusion, and it's entirely understandable. When a dog rolls over, belly up, they often genuinely do want to be scratched there. It's part of how they physically communicate affection with other dogs, and that signal translates cleanly to human hands. Cats are built differently. Their belly exposure where it carries a completely separate meaning, and because so many cat owners grew up around both animals, the assumption about what a belly-up posture means transfers over, and the cat has to physically correct that misread every time it happens. When your cat shows you their belly, the accurate response is to acknowledge it without touching it, a slow blink in their direction, a quiet word, letting your hand rest near them and waiting to see what they choose to do with that. Some cats After years of deep trust building with one specific person, will allow a brief, gentle touch on the belly on their own terms, usually by actively leaning or pressing into your hand themselves. But reaching the moment they roll over is treating their trust display like an open invitation, and their nervous system has to step in and correct that misread immediately. The correction erodes a small piece of the exact thing they were just trying to show you. 5. The one thing most owners skip before they ever touch their cat. I told you at the beginning that there's one small ritual almost every owner skips. Every single time. Something so easy it seems like it couldn't possibly matter. But that quietly shapes the quality of every interaction you have with your cat. This is it. And once you start doing it, you'll see immediately how different your cat's response becomes. Think about how you normally approach your cat when you want to pet them. You walk over, you reach down, you start petting. The touch is the first thing that happens. No check-in occurred. No mutual signal was exchanged. One moment your cat was in their own moment, and the next moment hands were on them. Every single time this plays out, your cat's nervous system runs an automatic threat assessment, even with an owner they've known for years, even in a home they feel completely safe in. It's not personal and it's not distrust, it's wired in. And it means every petting session that starts with no greeting starts with a split second of tension that your cat has to resolve before they can actually settle. Here's what changes that. Cats have a specific social signal they use with each other before any physical contact begins. When two cats who trust each other are near one another, they don't just walk over and start grooming. They make soft eye contact from a short distance. One of them slow blinks, eyes gradually closing, holding for a moment, then reopening slowly. The other blinks back. That exchange communicates one complete thing. I see you, I'm at ease, and you can come closer if you want. It happens between every bonded pair every time, without exception. It is not optional between cats. It is the opening of every trusted interaction. You can do exactly this. Before you reach for your cat, make soft, relaxed eye contact, not a hard, direct stare, which in cat language reads as a challenge or a threat. Just easy, loose eye contact, then close your eyes slowly and open them, unhurried, deliberate, and then wait. Many cats will slow blink back. Some will yawn, which is a feline calming signal that means the same thing. I'm relaxed. I'm not on alert. Some will look away briefly, which is not rejection. It's another calming signal. Received, we're good, I'm at ease. After that exchange, extend your hand slowly from the side and at their level and hold it still a few inches from their face. Don't move it toward them. Let them decide whether to come forward. If they bump your hand with their nose or press their cheek into your fingers, the greeting is complete. Now you pet them. What you've just done is run the full trust sequence on their terms. And the petting that follows is different in quality from the petting that starts without it. Your cat leans in sooner. They stay longer. They purr earlier. They don't spend the first moments bracing because there was nothing to brace for. The interaction opened with an agreement, not an assumption. That's what all of this comes down to. Cats don't ask for much from the people they share their lives with. They ask to be read, to have their signals received, to have the approach honor what they are before it asks anything of them. The owners who learn to do that, the right direction, the side approach, the stopped hand, the respected belly, the slow blink, and the wait, those are the ones whose cats walk toward them instead of away. If this opens something up for you today, you belong at Pawsychology. We go this deep every single week into what your cat is actually telling you and how to answer back. Hit subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.